So we've got obviously the boost gauge on the dash of the car. The problem with it is it's a bit difficult to see in strong sunlight. Even though it's got like a little hood over the top of it, it's like a sun visor, it's still pretty difficult to see it. So it does have wires to illuminate it and everything, but I haven't bothered hooking them up yet. So today what I'm going to do temporarily, because I can't be asked to get the wiring diagram and take half the dash apart, I'm just going to hook it up to a cigarette lighter. So been to Halfords, who's the only people who seem to have things in stock. So that's a 5 amp rated fused cigarette lighter plug. We've got a couple of connectors which I didn't need, but they were so cool I thought, well, you might as well fit something to it. That way this can be like a sort of universal power adapter. So if you put a plug on there, then plug to the wires, and then these wires go to the gauge itself, I can just plug the cigarette lighter in when I need it to light up the gauge. So yeah, that's a super seal waterproof connector, which is cool, but obviously this is going to be inside the car, so we don't really need that. I mainly bought it because it was just cool, and I may need it at some point. It's always good to have one of those in stock, just in case, but we'll probably use this one, which is just a disconnect block, which is just essentially a cheaper version of that, which isn't waterproof. So yeah, gonna crimp on some stuff, make this have a plug on the end first, I guess. This wire looks pretty chunky and should fit in there okay. This stuff, I don't know, it might go in there. Again, it depends on the size of the contacts. We might have to double it up. But yeah, going to get one end of the plug on this, and then we'll go from there. There it is, finished. And as we can see, it's a flawless victory. In no way does it look shit. And immediately, I don't want to rip this out and start again. So that's fine. At the end of the day, like I said, it's only temporary. And yeah, it may look like something that should be strapped to the DeLorean in Back to the Future 3, but yeah, hopefully it's going to illuminate that gauge, and then it will all have been worth it. So 2 seconds. There you go, lights up. Light on the doofer, and we got a light on there. So does it work with the ignition? Yeah, that's actual ignition. So yeah, as you can hear, my blend door's doing all sorts of weird things, so that sounds like a whole bunch of skin knuckles and swearing for another day, but yeah, that needs to be replaced. But yeah, anywho, that's on. And the good thing is as well, if I forget to unplug it, that socket is actually dead with the ignition off, so we're cool. So yeah, job's a good one. We're definitely going to need to be able to see what's going on with that for the next thing I'm preparing over on the bench. So give me 2 seconds and I'll go and show you what we're up to. And there we are, our little ghetto boost controller. Essentially it's just a 6mm hose joiner to fit in the actuator pipe, with a couple of holes drilled in it, so it bleeds off a bit of boost out of the 2 little holes where before it gets to the actuator, so that obviously increases the boost. Now it was working, but the problem is every time I want to adjust it, I have to bring it back here, wrestle a rather sort of like curiously placed hose off of a roasting hot turbo next to a burning manifold, and then drill a hole in it and then put it all back together, then go for a drive. So to adjust it, I essentially have to come back home and spend 10 minutes burning myself, or wait for the engine to cool down, and it takes like a day. So it was working, but we are not going to carry on with that because I happen to have one of these in stock, which is the GFB Atomic Boost Controller. So these are really nice. So at least we could be able to adjust this sort of on the fly with an Allen key. So it's just a simple Allen key to adjust it. And that's what we got there. So little atomic boost controller. It's basically got a restrictor in this side. So we're going to have to be careful because my turbo isn't exactly shy on making itself known. So it does spool pretty well. And like I say, boost threshold comes in quite early. So we're going to have to be careful because this and other boost controllers have like a ball and spring in them. Again, that's designed to bring boost on early, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. So yeah, I'll throw this in the car and then we'll be able to go out and do some actual on the road adjustments rather than keep having to come home. So give me 2 seconds. Not exactly the most difficult of installs, which is why I didn't show any of it. So he's hiding down there. Basically you just get the line, cut it, install it, make sure you've got clamps on it. So it's got a restrictor on one side, which is where the air enters from the boost source, which is obviously the compressor cover, and it flows through round and then into the actuator. There are also arrows on the body, as you can see from the instructions here. So yeah, it's set on 0 at the moment, which is the grub screw fully turned in clockwise. That prevents any air being bled up the main body of it and out the 2 vents that are sort of in the sides of the mushroomy bit. Got an Allen key with me, so we're just going to take it out. We need to do a baseline run to find out what PSI it's making now, very carefully, and always be ready to lift off the throttle, basically. Find out what our baseline boost is and then adjust from there. It says if you're more than 3 PSI off your boost, or desired boost level with it, undo it 2 full turns and then take it for another little drive. But yeah, we're going to start by finding out what base it's got, and then go from there, basically. So yeah, super neat little install. My setup's a bit goofy with the actuator down there being all backwards and upside down. There isn't much I can do about it. So yeah, it was 5 PSI, so hopefully this will bleed it up to about 6 or 7. And the good thing is we can adjust it. The main reason I'm fitting it now rather than messing about with the actuator is it's just a lot easier to stick an Allen key in and do this than it is to take apart all that stuff. So yeah, bear with me while we go and do this semi-properly. Okay, so we're back from the boost controller experiment and I've got some updates for you. So I wanted ideally half a bar or 7 and a bit pounds of boost, because that should roughly make this about 230 horsepower. If we work it out from the NA of 155, and that's obviously with 1 bar of atmosphere, then you add another half a bar to that, so another 77 and a bit horsepower. We should be in the 230-ish range. It's not an exact calculation by any stretch. That is the roughest calculation you can do, but that'll give you a rough ballpark as to what's going to happen when you add certain amounts of boost. Add 1 bar, it should add another 150 horsepower, roughly. So the problem we've got is the fuel system, as we knew, is unreferenced and doesn't have any sort of rising rate relative to boost pressure. So it's a deadhead system and the regulator's in the tank. So we add 7 pounds of boost, and that's managed to get that with the controller quite easily. Floored the throttle and the AFRs rolled down to 14 AFR and basically held there. So I lift out of the throttle, and yeah, we are nowhere near rich enough for that amount of boost. So the fuel system can't keep up, which is what we knew. So yeah, turned it down, and I think I basically got to the maximum that I would be almost happy running of 6 PSI. And that was giving me full throttle AFRs of about 13, which then rolled down to about 12 as you held the throttle in. So ideally I wouldn't want to see it any leaner than 12.5, but 13 that then went down to 12 quite quickly is maybe okay. But at the end of the day, without any of this stuff going on, the original actuator is set at 5 PSI, or giving us 5 PSI in the manifold, and we're now chasing 1 PSI for maybe 10 horsepower. That's putting us into the, as far as I'm concerned, danger zone of AFRs. So I don't think we're going to keep the setup as it is. What I'm going to do is remove the boost controller and just stick the normal pipe back in and go back to 5 PSI. So the other thing the boost controller does is it increases the speed at which the boost sort of ramps in. It's not actually bringing it on any quicker. But because it's got that restrictor in that I talked about earlier, when it reaches boost threshold, from there to like 5 or 6 PSI is actually faster to build the boost once it's at threshold. So it's not a fault with the controller or anything. That's literally what it's supposed to do. It's doing its job. But the problem for that on this car is that the fuel system was having enough trouble coping with boost, let alone boost now coming in quicker as you floor the throttle. Now there's more boost sooner before the AFRs can catch up. So for this particular setup with the wrong fuel system, that's not the answer. So I'm going to switch back to the straight pipe, and we're just going to have 5 pounds of boost. Well, let's talk about the elephant in the room that is obviously mid-throttle AFRs when it's running in closed loop. So closed loop, obviously we've got a fuel cut defender, and even if we had a upgraded fuel system with the return and the boost referenced reg, that's not really going to make a huge difference to our AFRs when it's running in closed loop. Closed loop, the narrowband sensors connected to the Toyota ECU will always be trying to pull it back to 14.7 AFR. Even if we've got more fuel and it's boost referenced, it's still going to try and trim down those injectors as long as it's within its capabilities of doing so. The problem with that is mine's an auto. So essentially once it's shifted up into top gear and has the converter locked, boost threshold for me rolling into it is about sort of 0 psi at about 2000 RPM. So I can roll into it from there, and if it doesn't shift down, I can see 2 or 3 or 4 pounds of boost, and the throttle position is still telling the ECU we're in closed loop areas, so it's trying to pull the AFRs down to 14.7 and hold them there, whilst we're building boost clearly on the gauge and obviously in the manifold. So going to have a quick look into that as well, see what we can do there. Essentially, when it's all in top gear and locked up, it's like brake boosting it. Or if you're driving up a hill with high load in a high gear, it will obviously increase the amount of boost that comes on earlier. So that's what we're going to have a look into. But I think that's a video for another day, because this one's rambled on for long enough, and we're going to have a play about with that. It's got some buttons, and it's got a whole bunch of other numbers and things on it. And if you're into autos, I'm sure you'll know this. But yeah, everyone's like, oh wow, yours builds boost really early. It's like, yeah, it does, but the ECU's so dumb it doesn't even know. So like I say, the stock map sensor knows about the first 3 psi of boost, but apparently I can put 3 psi into my engine and it still thinks that 14.7 AFR is fine. So there you go. Anywho,